This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Monday night, it's RaceSpotTV. We're here once again from Monday Night Skippys and round number 7 here at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca up here in the California Highlands, just north of Monterey. We're here to race for going to be around 15 laps here tonight of racing around one of the iconic tracks of the service. Weather conditions today, skies are California clear. It's low temperatures of 65 Fahrenheit and about 87 on the track. Winds, of course, coastal breezes here, westerly, as expected, 7 miles an hour roughly. Humidity quite high, 68%. So quite typical California conditions right now, Lena. It's a little bit cooler than we'd probably expect for the time of year, but cars are out on track and we're getting that qualifying time underway.
Yeah, it's a very cool track today, and a lot of cars as well, as usual. We got over 40 cars here today. For a pretty exciting race here today, and Liu's currently on pole position, leading the championship by 1 point ahead of Simon Edwards, who is currently sitting in P number 8. So unless he can improve that time, he's going to have his work cut out for him if he wants to keep in the championship hunt.
Certainly is, of course. The rest of the drivers outside still qualifying. We've got about 4 minutes, I correct myself there, left on the clock for qualifying here today. Drivers going to get those times in, and wow, that is a name we've not seen in quite a while. Wojciech Svidovic. Took me a while to remember how to pronounce that name. Big watch is back, Linus. That is someone we've not seen. Oh my gosh. George Streetley as well is there on the list. This is getting old school right now. Simon Edwards just jumps into second in qualifying there. Right behind, 2/10 in fact, behind Claire Hughes. But Svidovic and Streetley on track. We've got Mick Watson here. Is this the reunion tour?
Well, it's a pretty famous track. A lot of people like to run it, and maybe people don't have anything to do when it's 35 degrees outside, so they want to go race instead. So maybe that's why, I don't know, but hopefully we can get all these boys back in the championship for the rest of the season, and maybe we can have a 10-car battle for the championship next year, who knows.
That'd be fantastic, of course. Linus is, of course, using Celsius to describe the weather outside right now.
Well,
of course, for you Americans, that would be in the 90s, actually, 35 Celsius, so just want to keep an eye on, of course, which makes the temperature where we're commentating from considerably higher than where it is apparently at the track in California, which makes no sense. But either way, we're going to get ready to get to the end of the grid here. Drivers coming up with their fuel numbers, of course, but seeing the likes of Wojciech Svidovic and Streetley, of course, Watson in the standings here, Linus. It's going to be interesting to see what they do, especially seeing as how competitive Svidovic's time is. He's on he's 5th place right now. He's about 4/10 back from your leader, so that's pretty close going, especially when racing experience will probably count, and Claire's going to have a lot of hungry drivers after him. Edwards, Cat, Halliburton, Svidovic, Patterson, Streetley, Williams, Daniels. It's going to be very busy.
It really is, and well, the top 3 in the qualifying at the moment is the top 3 in the championship, so they're all up there now all of a sudden. But I wouldn't count out Wojciech Svidovic for anything, because he can really do a lot in this race. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the lead within a few laps, and Kane Halliburton as well there obviously wants to get a win, which would be his 2nd of the season, as he's already got one. Clark Williams, as you mentioned, he'll probably not be letting these guys go easily, and Lee Anderson, we've seen this season, he's gotten better and better for every single race, so I don't think his first win is too far off either.
Certainly not. Qualifying coming to a close in under a minute here at Laguna Seca. This track an absolutely iconic feature of the series, one of the included tracks with the iRacing service, of course, Linus, but it's a track we all know pretty intimately in terms of how this place races, and it hasn't changed ever. It's familiar, we know it, of course. Dirt coming to the service definitely made the corkscrew a whole different ballgame, but I think people are used to that by now. The track, definitely familiar turf and one of those regular season favourites.
Yeah, it is, and it's not changed for I don't know how many years. It's been the same ever since I came on here about 9 years ago, and it's not a track that I particularly like to run that much, because I don't do road that much, but it's pretty much everybody knows what Laguna Seca is, everyone who's a racing fan, so and I think most people have driven it on very old racing games as well, because it's always one of the first track that shows up on every single title that you can find, so everybody knows it and knows how it goes.
Yes, certainly is, of course, and we'll go to your qualifying order. Starting on pole tonight, Claire Hughes with a time of 1 minute 35.175 there. Simon Edwards in second place, 2/10 back, with Anthony Catt, Kane Halliburton and Wojciech Savidovic in 5th place. Ewan Patterson is in 6th, with George Streetley, Clark Williams, Ben Daniels and Lee Anderson in 10th. We've got SJ Dunning, Mick Watson, Andrew Leach, Tim Adcock, James McRitchie in 15th, with Vaughan Roberts, Robertson, Cox, Kelsey and Keeble in 20th. The cars heading out to the grid now as the rest of the results are on your screens. 15 laps here at Laguna Seca. Don't forget, we are, of course, bringing this to you in partnership with, or to support, I should say, the Calm Zone. Campaign Against Living Miserably. Calm are an award-winning charity dedicated to preventing male suicide, the biggest killer of men under the age of 45 in the UK. Check them out. There is a link in our description if you want to know more or help them. Well, the cars all taken to the grid for this one, Linus. We're going to be getting ready to go in just under a minute now. Our 1 second bracket here tonight is going to be looking for a 36.17. That's pretty close tonight. We're looking at 13 cars, so quite a spread out field. Expecting this to be a very competitive race at the front. And right now, we're waiting for that green light to come on the WeatherTech gantry here. The engines rev. And green flag flies. It's a slow climbing start there, Laguna Seca. Very difficult to get a really how fast they're going, because it is an uphill climb under the gantry before they drop down here towards 1 and 2. This big sweeping double apex left, which funnels all those cars breaking downhill into it as it becomes very congested all of a sudden, and a few hiccups but no one round there as Hughes making a good break at the front here ahead of Edwards and Catt. Halliburton back there with Savidovic in 5th place, leading through cleanly. Ben Daniels back in the 9th spot though. Bit of a bottleneck to the cars behind him. He seems to have dropped back from Williams already, Linus, as the car stuck up behind him as they start to climb the hill.
Yeah, it's a very clean start again. A couple of contacts further back, but nothing major. And actually, there's 2 cars going off now further back in the field. Going to try and figure out who that is. I think Christopher Keeble is one of the guys that went off. He was in P number 20. He is indeed. And I believe he made contact with, I can't really see who that was.
Not possible to tell from the moment. We'll have to look into that one as we go, but the racing is definitely hotting up here. Daniels heading that second pack now. A lot of cars behind him as they head through the corkscrew there, the front group. Edwards really closing in on Hughes now as they come to the penultimate corner now towards the final corner. And we might see an option here. Looks like Catt trying to find a way back past Halliburton, who got past him earlier on. And a big jump there as Patterson goes around. Ewan Patterson there, round in the last couple of corners. He gets himself going again, but look at this. Simon Edwards looking for the inside here on Claire Hughes. Alongside him now into the first corner, down towards 2nd and 3rd. Should be an easy pass here for Simon Edwards, and he makes it nice and cleanly there. Hughes gets an attempt to come back at him, but with it being a right-hand corner next, it won't really be an easy move for him to make running outside, as it's a tight, slow-speed corner there. Halliburton, 3rd place. Catt in 4th. Ben Daniels, 5th. Savidovic has dropped back quite a bit, actually, off that start, Linus. He's all the way back now in 7th place, right behind George Streetley, another veteran.
Yeah, he really struggled at the start there, and well, the whole group here from 5th on back has really dropped back from the leaders. They're almost 2 seconds back from 4th place in 1 lap, so they've really been battling it out back there, but still Lee Hughes leading, actually Simon Edwards leading, sorry, to Lee Hughes, and Halliburton and Catt behind. So these guys, they will probably be working together as usual to try and break away some more from the guys behind him, like we usually see them do, but I don't think they'll be battling too much for 5th, as they obviously want to catch back up.
Streatley around the outside of Ben Daniels here, or trying to go around the outside into the corkscrew. Here comes Savidovic back on him now, as they now drop down towards the pit sector again. Streatley going to make it a look to the outside. Maybe go for the undercut now in that penultimate corner. It just got bottled down behind Daniels. Trying to find a way past it. These guys must think Daniels is the bottleneck in that pack. Holding them back there as Daniels goes wide. Streatley gets a run up the inside here. Can he do the same move that Edwards pulled on Hughes last time by? Edwards, of course, now officially flagged as your race leader with Hughes, Halliburton, Cat in that order. Right now, Streatley and Savidovic trying to find a way past Daniels here. We'll see if they can catch up to that front pack now. They've managed to make the break as they push it wide here. Cone in the air there from Savidovic. 2 cars who are lapped getting out of the way. Daniels defends against Savidovic, but of course, Streatley clearly through there and already pulling a gap on Daniels. So perhaps that was telling Linus that he has held that group back.
Yeah, he might have, and well, Streatley is not a slow driver either, so he's going to do everything he can to catch the guys in front. I don't know if he's fast enough though, as here comes Savidovic on Daniels as well. So Daniels is not quite as fast as he needs to be down in this section. Wojciech is still on the outside. Oh, he's going to get the run off that corner, side by side, up the hill, up towards the next left-hander again. Savidovic on the outside, but he's probably going to be able to pull around him. And well, he almost does. They're side by side behind as well now, Williams and Dunning, so 4 cars in a bunch right now, and Daniels is actually going to clear him into the corkscrew. But it does certainly look like they are all faster than Daniel, so I think Savidovic will want to pass him as soon as possible.
Certainly will. He's going to try and do that himself right now, as Streatley making a massive stride ahead of Daniels. And oh, attempted pass there by Dunning, who wobbled in the corner there, turn 8, or the final corner I should say, missing out there to make an attempt on Clark Williams. Didn't quite get it done. Up at the front, Edwards still holding strong, although big lockup by him into turn 2 there, as the hound of Claire Hughes comes racing up behind him, trying to find a way through, but Hughes just not quite got the same opportunities that Edwards managed to get himself. Not quite as fast in that final sector, Linus, I think is the difference. While he's faster in the early going, less passing opportunities there. This front group stayed very, very tight here. Edwards, Hughes, Halliburton and Cat all close together. There's a big dive there by Hughes up the inside for 8, and so comes Halliburton too. Look at a hold. Edwards to the outside here, and this might be a tricky corner over the big sausage curb there. Through the kink here, and he holds the outside. Brave driving by Simon Edwards. Up now towards the corkscrew. Can Edwards hold it around the outside? That would be critical. He could hold his lead if he swings it around the outside and holds up line. Clay Hughes gave him the option, but he'll have the outside now inside, crossing over like a dogfight between fighter aircraft in the skies. These guys doing it on the ground instead, as now into that final sector here where Edwards is a little faster. Can he set up the same move he used to pass Hughes to regain his lead here at Laguna? Seca, not quite the setup already. See him entering the corner quite shallowly, and this just wasn't going to be enough of a speed advantage. But that front group dogfighting very hard. George Fruitley catching them up now. He's halfway between the first and second group on his own, digging towards that, and the second group is broken up. Williams and Dunning have dropped back, and the only car really on Daniels is actually Savidovic. He's all over that car, trying to find an opening.
Yeah, he's been trying to get past Daniels now for almost 2 laps, and well, Streatley, he gained a 1.5 seconds on the leading 4 by thanks to all the battling they were doing there on that last lap. So he might be up there if they keep on passing each other like they do. Streatley will be up there in a lap or 2 if he can keep on with this pace. And here comes Edwards again up the inside of Hughes in the exact same spot where Hughes passed him on the last lap, and Halliburton is going to follow once again. Edwards is going to clear him though, so Halliburton and Lee Hughes side by side coming up the hill into the next left-hander. Kane has got the inside, but Lee Hughes is actually going to clear him before the braking point, so I don't know if he made a mistake there or what happened, but Edwards into the lead and Lee Hughes is going to keep second. Here comes Cato on Halliburton. He's going to be up the inside coming towards the corkscrew, going to give him the outside on the turn in though, but he's going to just back out, and well, watch behind him. Streatley is right there now.
Oh, absolutely. George Streetley is coming on fast right now as the lead group start to battle. They're eroding their advantage in terms of time as, George Streetley, that number 10 car, the veteran driver, recovering his time now to that lead group and could certainly wade in on this argument for Linus. I think is quite an easy stretch to imagine with another 10 laps to go here and how much of an advantage he's built. Savidovic still trying to find an opportunity to pass Daniels, but just hasn't looked fast enough. It's been 5 laps. I don't think he is going to pass him, perhaps, unless it's too late. Certainly not to catch up like Streetley's doing.
No, he seems to be struggling. It looks obviously like he's faster than Daniels. He just can't get the run off the corners to get by him, and I think that comes from Daniels having probably run this a lot this week and getting just the exits right. But Savidovic, he's looking everywhere. Daniels goes a bit wider as well, but he's going to stay ahead, and Clark Williams behind him, not quite keeping up either. See what he can do now. He's not going to be close enough here either. He's closing in, but he's not getting there. So either Savidovic isn't quite that much faster than Daniels, or he just can't get the exit speed. We'll have to see. But up the hill again, he's getting slight draft here, but he's not going to be enough this time either. So he's going to back out early, and well, Daniels looks like he's going to be comfortably holding on to that 6th place. As we got 2 cars in the gravel behind them, but none of them are going to crash by the looks of it. They're just going to keep on going.
You would be correct there. I think involved in that one, we're looking at the likes of Leach there, and McRitchie were involved in that one. As past them will come Cox and Robertson here, finding a way through. Tim Hancock just behind that group right now, as a little bit further forwards. Once again, Wojciech Savidovic looking for an opportunity here on Daniels. Can't quite get the exit from the final corner to do something with it. Up at the sharp end, Edwards continues defending here. Looks like we've had a bit of a back off there from Hughes. Perhaps they saw the threat that Streetley poses and they decided to stay in line for a while. And somehow subconsciously decided, you know what, it's better for us if we pull away from this guy. He's coming on pretty strong.
Looks like Streetley somewhat locked up there though in the first braking zone, but not going to cost him too much. He's still 1.5 seconds behind the leading group. So he's slightly catching, but not quite that much. So if they have noticed him catching and they've decided to just stay in line, I don't think they will be able to pull away that much, because his fastest lap time is right up there with the guys at the front, a couple of tenths slower, but obviously they are all drafting each other down the straightaway as well. So if he can just get within that 1.5 seconds, which he's right on the bubble of, I think he'll be sucking right up to them going down the straightaways. As here comes Kane Halliburton. He's not intending on sitting around and wait. He's just going to move up the inside of Linus into the corkscrew, and he's going to make it.
Savidovic was all over the outside there of Daniels coming up to the corkscrew, but Daniels recovers that position. But he's definitely bottling some time here as we look back to the front there. And yeah, Kane Halliburton 2nd place right now on Clear Hughes. Hughes now being stalked, you might say, by Anthony Catt. They're looking for an opportunity, and Streetley coming ever closer now to that group, but the gap between Edwards now and Halliburton is probably the widest it's been between 1st and 2nd. That's got to be a bit of pressure off Edwards. Let him focus on the corners and the lines.
Yeah, he'll be able to do whatever he wants now. He can brake a bit early without having the risk of getting somebody up the inside or into his rear end, so he might be able to pull a little bit of a gap here, but Kane Halliburton is definitely looking quick, and he does have the fastest lap of the race as well. So obviously no time to rest for Edwards. He still needs to hit his mark and go just as fast as he can, because those few tenths that he's got to Halliburton are going to disappear pretty quickly if he makes one slight mistake. And Streetley inching closer. It was 1.3 up to 4th place that time by, so he gained another 2 tenths with them battling like they are. But Cat sitting back there in 4th, waiting for a gap, not doing too much. Leus not being able to get close enough to Halliburton, so these guys just staying in line for the end of this lap, as James McRitchie just dropped out of the race as well.
Certainly did, of course. Running order right now: Simon Edwards, Kane Halliburton, Clear Hughes and Cat in that front group, with Streetley picking the middle between 2 packs. Ben Daniels and Wojciech Savidovic still battling out between 6th and 7th place, with Clark Williams, SJ Dunning and Mick Watson in your top 10. Cars start to get pretty spread out after this, Linus, and after the top 10, of course. You've got Watson there, you've got Matt Cox a little bit further back, a couple of seconds behind him. McRitchie has just retired his car. Roberts is further back. Leach is out of order too. Then you've got 2 seconds back to Adcock. Then it's another 1 second to Ewan Patterson with Chris Morris behind him. Tony Stack, Jack Hobbs and James Ruth Jones in 20th. Top 20 spread out over about 23 seconds right now. So the racing is not as close as we'd seen earlier on. But oh, very tight between Savidovic and Daniels there, approaching two. Savidovic desperately trying to find a way through here, trying everything inside and outside.
Yeah, he's trying everything he can, and oh, he goes really, really wide there in the gravel on the exit of the first couple of corners, but he's going to hold on to it, and he's going to stay right up the back of Daniels. So this is, apart from the leading group, this is pretty much the only battle we have around the track. As of now, as everybody's spread out by about a second and a half, so he just can't get there though. He's been trying now for, what lap are we on? Lap number 9, so he's been trying for pretty much 8 laps. 7 or 8 laps, and he just can't get it done. He's right there all the time, but Daniels is just that little bit too fast, and well, let's see what he can do up to the corkscrew this time. Then maybe he needs to put a surprise dive on him in a corner where he least expects it or something, but he's going to try this time. He's going to look to the outside, Daniels going to block, he's going to look to the right, and Daniels is going to be there as well, so maybe he can get speed down the corkscrew. Doesn't look like he's going to get too close though, so nothing for now.
Daniels has been playing as he goes wide and loses some time, but he still has the inside line there, which might screw Savidovic as he tries to cross him over. I don't think he's going to be able to do that one unless he tries to go to the inside here and throws it in there, hoping something sticks. He takes it around the inside, a little bit of contact maybe, but not quite. Loses time. That wasn't the fastest way around that corner, Linus. It was not a sustainable attempt at a pass, even though it was in fact an attempt. Perhaps showing a bit of desperation on the part of Savidovic there, trying to find a way through here. But it seems as though Ben Daniels has played a, let's call it the gauze dressing racing doctrine. He's been trying to stem the bleeding, and so far
there he goes. He's
done
by.
just about that, as he just about makes it as I say that. Looks like the bleeding resumed. As up front, Edwards and Halliburton neck and neck, Hughes and Cat on top of each other. Streetley all by him lonesome still, as Daniels fights back here on Savidovic. Daniels back to the inside there through turn number 6, through the kink at 7 and up towards 8 here climbing the hill. And Savidovic has the inside line. Will he still have that chance? And I'm apparently on some sort of fun powder because it's turn 5, I'm being told. Where I got the idea of 8 from is beyond me completely, as Savidovic now has the inside for the kink, which logically will be 6, not 9, so of course I was slightly off numerically. Don't blame me, counting is hard. As up the hill comes Savidovic now, released from the grip of Ben Daniels. Daniels tries to look a little back at him, very close there, nearly a problem, but he holds on. As Savidovic now starts to begin that pulling away process we saw from Streetley, and cork out of the bottle, Linus, off he goes.
Yeah, here he goes. Now it's Clark Williams' turn to get to work on Ben Daniels. I don't think he's going to do too much.
3 wide for the lead here, as we've got Clear Hughes at the middle between Kane Halliburton and Simon Edwards there. And we're going to get joined by Anthony Catt as we go for a diamond formation. What is this, the Blue Angels, the Red Arrows? Now it's Monday Night Skippys. As into turn 2 they come, 2 by 2. A bit of a tap there by Edwards as Halliburton takes the lead. Clear Hughes in second, Catt nearly into third, but he'll go back to 4th place here as we've got a massive shuffle there as drivers just lost momentum at that final corner, and the entire dynamic of our race just changed completely, and Streetley is still coming.
Yeah, they'd open up the gap to Streetley to 1.9 again, and with that little thing going into that one corner, the gap from 4th down to 5th is down to under 1 second, so Streetley is just about catching Anthony Catt now, who's dropped back from these guys massively. So Streetley definitely in the hunt for this top 3. Halliburton though in the lead. Leah Hughes trying to catch back up. Edwards dropped back slightly from him. I don't think they made any contact there, so everybody should be fine. But Leah Hughes is right on the back of Halliburton, not going to try into the corkscrew, but he's going to try and set him up for a good exit, and he might be able to do something into the last corner, possibly into turn 1 again like he did last time.
We're going to see exactly what they can do this time round. Lap 11, the racing has definitely kicked up a notch here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca out in Monterey, California, as Kane Halliburton dives into that final corner. Good line through, keeps good speed. Gap to Clear Hughes remains very constant there. Edwards just absolutely dogpiled at the end of that last lap, Linus, and before he knew it, he had cars all around him. It was absolutely phenomenal. Although it seems that Savidovic's advantage, whilst he has had one and he has pulled a gap here on Edwards, it might be too little too late because, or Daniels I should say, he has pulled ahead but only maybe by about a second or less. Because right now he just has about 3 or 4 car lengths to the car behind him, not the multiple seconds we've got now. 5 seconds to George Streetley up the road.
Yeah, he's not getting the sort of pace that Streetley did, and that just shows he wasn't that much faster than Ben Daniels, just enough to be able to make several moves and not get past. And talking of Streetley, he's actually dropped from the top 4 again, so he's not quite as fast as we thought though. As soon as those guys start rallying, he closes right back up, but as soon as they sort themselves out, he just can't keep up. So not quite the pace he would have hoped, but he's obviously sitting there in P5 pretty comfortably anyway, just watching these guys, waiting for him to start battle again so he can catch back up. But nothing major being done this lap, all just staying in formation, not doing anything fancy. And Daniels actually caught the back of Savidovic here, and these guys are almost forming into a 5 group as well.
Yeah, they certainly are there as things starting to stack up here again, as Dunning and Watson, like Lena said, they're gathering back up again. Front groups are going to be coming towards the end of lap number 12 here. All coming across the line for lap 12, on to lap 13 now. 3 laps remaining in this race tonight. It was Simon Edwards and Anthony Catt. And the racing is only just spicing up here, as it looks like we've got Edwards trying to find an opening again on Clay Hughes for second, trying to regain that spot. But with 2 positions to try and gain here, Linus, it's looking like a very big mountain for him to climb. Catt not particularly looking threatening in this group, I've got to say. He looks like he's definitely along for the ride there. Look at how close Edwards is to the back of Hughes. His nose cone is basically sticking up the exhaust pipe there of Clay Hughes' car as he looks to the inside for 5. Not sure it's a positive pass, but it's alongside enough for the King. Now? If he could hold his position, I don't think he will with the time delay there.
You've been 5 years old and have run them in real life.
Coming through the corner now, the King.
You keep thinking that you're going to outwheel me in them.
I am going to outwheel you.
I just wish there was a freaking way.
I'm going to fly by you so fast like they do be shit.
How many championships you got in those cars?
You could save space.
Bring down now.
Right.
On the far side of one of the biggest vertical drops in motorsports. 3 full stories down, Linus. That's absolutely crazy.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's a massive drop in that.
I don't mess with them.
Welcome back, folks. Of course, do apologise for a little bit of a glitch there we had. Of course, the internet does like to internet quite often. Ken Halliburton pulling ahead here after Clay Hughes and Edwards were fighting last time by. Edwards going to try and do what he can to try and capture back second place here as they're going to go on to the final lap now at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. One more time around, one of the biggest roller coasters in motorsports. And I don't think George Streetley will actually make it back to that group, Linus. He's 2 seconds back, 2.3. I don't think he's got a hope of catching that group unless something goes wrong, but he'll be definitely the man in the catbird seat if it does.
He's been doing a good job at keeping up with them, but not quite catching them. And as soon as they've stopped battling, he's just dropped back again. So it's a shame for him, but still 5th place in your comeback to this series is a very, very good result for him. And Savidovic as well in 6th place. That's a great job, even though I guess they both would have hoped for a lot better. But still, Halliburton leading the 3 championship leaders here. So for the championship, this is a pretty good way to end it. But obviously, it's not over yet. Still got half a lap to go as they go up the hill.
certainly is, and we're going to expect that Simon Edwards will try and pull something here, but it's going to be a crazy run to the end of this in terms of how we see it play. It's going to be a pretty big lunge by anybody to try and make a move in this situation.
Sideways.
Everyone feels a little bit spread out, Linus, unless Edwards or Cat can pull something pretty hefty. I don't think it's going to come between Hughes and Halliburton, but stranger things have happened to the penultimate corner now. I think the gap's just a little too wide for anything to really come from this as the final corner arrives, one of the probably trickier corners on this track just because of the nature of the car wanting to spin out and spit you into the inside wall there, as Halliburton does a bit of a weave there to celebrate. A little early, there's still the track to come. As across the line they'll come, and Kane Halliburton takes the win at Laguna Seca here for round number 7 of Monday Night Skippys, with Claire Hughes and Simon Edwards joining him on the podium. Behind them, Daniels and Williams crossed in the order they've raced in all night long. Another car's trickling across the racetrack. I'm looking for any potential battles we may have, Linus.
We've got Anderson and Stack into the last corner here for P number 16, but Stack is going to hold out on the outside, so nothing happening there. Behind them,
we've also got Adcock and Ridley.
And Ridley, yeah, here they come, all three of them.
Actually, yeah, you're right. Paul Smith involved in that group as well there. He's the black car there, as it didn't quite make a difference in time, but Paul Smith desperately trying at the end there to make something happen. Didn't quite get Tim Adcock, but it was very close. Well, folks, we'll go to your post-race results. Kane Halliburton, congratulations on winning round number 7 here tonight. Fantastic race from him there. Claire Hughes in second, with Simon Edwards in third. Anthony Cat in 4th place, with George Streetley topping out your top 5. Wojciech Savidovic in 6th place, with Ben Daniels, Clark Williams, SJ Dunning and Mick Watson in 10th. Matt Cox is in 11th place, with Ewan Patterson, Andrew Leach, Jack Hobbs, Chris Morris, Tony Stack, Lee Anderson, Tim Adcock, Paul Smith and James Ruth Jones in 20th. The rest of those results for you on your screen. Laguna Seca never disappoints, Linus. It's one of those tracks that's just consistently good racing, whether it's a drawn-out race, whether it's a big pack race, everybody on top of each other. This place just, there's so much fun to drive. It makes the racing exciting by default.
Yeah, it was a really good race as always. It spread out a little bit towards the end, unfortunately, but still had the excitement all the way till the end, and Servidovic eventually getting by Ben Daniels as well. That must have been a big relief for him, and then he actually pulled away quite a bit on the last lap there as Clark Williams was trying to pass Daniels, but other than that he got pretty quiet for the last couple of laps, unfortunately, but before that it was action just all around as usual.
Certainly was indeed a fantastic race here tonight. And well, folks, we are going to wrap this one for this evening. Thank you for joining us here on RaceSpotTV. We've had a fantastic time and we hope you have too. We'll see you same time next week for more Monday Night Skippies.